Morning viewers from all over the world. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Thank you for joining us once again. Here on Morning Spring, we bring you the newspaper reviews, and of course, we dive into the interesting and powerful conversations, and of course, we have analysis of the news and events, shaping our nation and the world. And that's what we do here every day from Mondays to Friday on Morning Spring. Emeka Daniel is my name. Thank you once again for joining us. And of course, I never walk alone as well. Good morning, Femi.
Yeah. Good morning, Daddy. How are you doing?
Beautiful.
Great. I think that's a good way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And of course, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. You're welcome again today for the second installment of this program, Morning Spring or Western Spring Television. We look at the headlines and then we talk about issues that you want us to talk about. That is things that really matter. And it's geared towards having, deep and frank conversations that will enhance the decision-making process that will give us a society that is prosperous, by an extension, a nation that works. Like these are of good people and a great nation. For Nigeria, you and I, we are critical stakeholders, so your voice matter, mine matter, his matter, and everybody do have an opinion here, on this program, Western Spring Television. And we are live right now on our YouTube channel, Western Spring Television, also on channel 190 on StarTimes DTT. And the time is now. So much to talk about.
Absolutely. Just yesterday, we were talking about the security situation in Nigeria. And unfortunately, reports came in that in the early hours of Monday yesterday, about 3 a.m., some militants, some terrorists actually went to a military base, overran a military base, killed a lot of soldiers, and also captured some. And it's quite worrisome. It's quite worrisome. Yeah, in Barte local government area of Borno State. So some reports said that, the soldiers had to run, the ones who survived, had to, flee, just to run for their lives. Quite unfortunate happening here in Nigeria. Over and over again, some reports say they are ISWAP, some say they are Boko Haram, but whatever they are, it's clear that these people have such, you said it yesterday, what gives them that audacity to go to a military base? Yeah. Because they are so confident that they will overrun that base. Killing soldiers, capturing some, and destroying weapons. In some report, they destroy some tanks. Taking away the weapons they can take away and destroying those.
The ones that they can, destroy the ones that they can't. And it shows that things are getting bad. And we are not unpatriotic for stating it as it is.
Absolutely.
Because, just as at this time yesterday, we were reading out those reports from the Daily Trust. 20 soldiers killed in March, in May, 2 killed in Borno, I think 4 killed in Yobe. The following day, they came back again. They dislodged a whole, army formation at a particular point. Then they came back again, 7th of May, to come and kill a captain and a soldier. And you are just saying, yesterday again now, around 3 a.m., it went there again. They are sending a message that they are daredevil. It shows that they don't care, that they have the upper hand. That's the message they are sending, because these ones are not even just attacks against the civilian, in which the military formation security analysts will say they are soft target. Attacking a military formation is not about attacking a soft target. The military formation is not a soft target. And just like I usually say, there is a difference between an army checkpoint that might have 10 soldiers max or 5. It's an army base, military base. And they give a go at them, dislodge them. The ones that can run will run. You can't blame the ones that will run. Who fights to run? How do they say it now? Fights to run, we will run to fight.
To fight another day.
Now, this is just the state of things. And one thing I know is they can never, although many persons are saying they have superior power. Okay, maybe yes, I'm not in the field. But one thing I know is they don't have the number of the Nigerian Army or the Nigerian Air Force or the Nigerian Navy. They don't have the legitimacy. They don't have the institution. to overrun. Now, if they can do that, they have done that in a couple of places now. Now, the next thing is they will be empowered to attack the next one, to attack the next one, and to decimate everything that looks like resistance, and then the whole place is open, and then they are fully...
And according to reports, they are right there. They dislodged them and took over the military base.
In as much the survivors or the army personnel there, you know, the ones that survive, might take to their heels, what they will do is to take charge of whatever is there, the armor that they can, you know, take, they will take. The ones that are not possible they can't take, they destroy. That means, as far as that territory is concerned, they are there.
Absolutely. And also in that report, during that attack, there was a fighter jet from the Nigerian Air Force dispatched to the area. The fighter jet was hovering around that place, but couldn't repel them. So they still carried out the activities.
That's the question.
Quite unfortunate.
Well, maybe.
Again, we talk about failure of intelligence. I've said it here over and over again. There is no better way to say it. Failure of intelligence. Military intelligence is failing in Nigeria. Security experts will come here and tell us that no, Nigerian soldiers, they are good, they are the best. But come on.
Yes, they are.
We are looking at the facts now.
Yeah.
Let's not deceive ourselves.
It's just that connect that is missing right now. What exactly is the problem? One thing I know is they will never, my patriotic self will say they will never overrun the Nigerian state. But then so that we don't get to that level, so that we don't get close to that level, we must show that force. You know, when there is election and there is tension in a particular state or at the national level, you see the police or some of the army formations, you know, will do something they call a show of force. They'll parade the street so that anybody having ulterior motive will know that, see us, we are very ready for you guys. And I think it's high time we took the battle to them. Enough of waiting for them.
Absolutely.
Enough of waiting for them to do whatever they want to do and then we give a chase. No, let them know that you don't dare come at us. And, you know, but these pockets of attacks that we're seeing, we only embolden those criminals to see if you can do this and get away with it, that means you can do this. Absolutely. But this is the time now that the military formation, in whatever apparatus, the police, everybody must show that we have an integrity. We have a name to protect. We have an institution to take it to them. I don't know. I have that confidence. They can never overrun us. I'm not sure they have. They don't have the numbers. If they have it in Undo, would they have it in Ekiti? Would they have it? I know they have cells of some of these things according to what we hear. But one thing is this, there should be a national shame in which people in charge should be able to take away from the name of Nigeria to say, no, we can't keep having this. Let's give them. And, you know, when these things are being done, security analysts have said, and I believe them to say, let it be holistic. You can't just be fighting in Yobe. Then they will move to them. I mean, they will move to Borno. If you are chasing them in Borno, they might move to Katsina. They might move to other places. Let the whatever, the bombardment be total so that the ones that are remain, is either they surrender or they lose their life.
Absolutely.
I've listened to a defense military personnel in US before, not now, I think like 10 years ago, when the issue of, was it in Afghanistan? So I can't really remember. And when you hear what he said, we don't come at people, but when you come at us, be sure that other fathers will be the one to raise your sons. He was talking to those persons, I mean, those enemies to say, if you come at us, you won't witness the growing of your family members because you will never return. That's how today, for you to tell, we won't come at you. But if you dare come at us, your sons or your children will be raised by other fathers. What more can be so inspiring than that to say, you better know you are losing everything that you have because you won't return. That's the way to go.
It still boils down to intelligence as far as I'm concerned.
And the willpower.
Because these people, they plan these attacks. So they should be able to foil them. Our agencies, security agencies, should be able to prevent,
but
not just react.
We've had a former intelligence director and assistant director here on this program before who said, he insists it's not a matter of intelligence. It's taking of the action. That is the issue. We've had him here before. And before that, he has always maintained that part. That do you know how many casualties being foiled every day or attempted attack on the Nigerian soil that is being foiled that you never get to know. And I want to agree as well, because it is when it happens that we know. There are some that you will never know. There are some of these criminals or criminally minded people that are being rounded off covertly. that you never know. But the ones that come to our faces, we'll still talk about.
Yeah, but this one is still ugly. They really need to step up. I mean, it's an embarrassment. Yeah. I mean, a military base of a sovereign state being overrun.
It should be a no-go area.
Absolutely, absolutely. Quite unfortunate.
Yeah, we'll keep talking about it. And just like we said, our Nigerian self, our patriotic self, knows that the will of the evil people will never, should never, must never overrun the will of the great and good people of Nigeria. And of course, we are trusting in God, as we say, but then trusted in the proficiency and the professionalism of the men of the Nigerian military, the police, every security apparatus, and even the Nigerian people to come together and, you know, attack and chase these evil and criminally minded people of our lands. We'll keep talking about it. Nigeria must flourish and survive. We'll take a break. When we return, the papers are in. It's still Morning Spring. Stay with us. All right, we have the Guardian as our first point of call on the headline segment today. World Bank admits Nigeria's economic progress, says prices remain high. World Bank admits Nigeria's economic progress, says prices remain high. And you have some statistics to that. Starting with this, the economic overview. The economic overview, 25,000 conditional cash transfer, has been enjoyed by 5.6 million households, and that has been paid once. Now, another 2.4 million households have enjoyed the 25,000 naira conditional cash transfer, and it has been paid twice. And another 1.24 million households have enjoyed the same 25,000 naira, and they have received it twice. So, 5.6 million households, 2.4 million households, 1.24 million households have been paid the 25,000 conditional cash transfer once, twice, and thrice, respectively. Nigerians will say, who are these households? How do they come by? Which demography? Who are they?
Exactly the question on my mind.
Somebody will tell the other person and say, have you ever had anybody say that in your area? Or who are these people?
That's exactly the question on my mind. How do they come about? I mean, those beneficiaries, what were the parameters? How do you judge that, okay, these ones are the ones who need the money most? And again, someone once said it, that the really poor people, I mean, the extremely poor people in Nigeria, a lot of them don't even have bank accounts. They don't have, I mean, operational bank accounts because they are so poor. So how do they come about these beneficiaries?
You're talking about the extremely, very extremely, the poor of the poorest, the vulnerable, the most vulnerable. Then maybe that's why you don't know. Possibly you don't belong to that demography, you might never know. We've learned there is a social register, but people have always been saying, since when was it collated? Who collated them? When was the period in which people got registered into these? And how? Because from the time of the former minister now, Sadia Umar Farouk of the Humanitarian and Disaster Management Ministry, you know, we learned during COVID, you remember, when people had, many things have happened in this country. Let's just go ahead. Now, improving state fiscal positions, state revenue. In 2023, it was 7.18 trillion naira. In 2024 now, it almost doubled to 13.86 trillion naira, 7.18 trillion naira in 2023. Talking about improvement in state fiscal positions, it has now become 13.86 trillion naira. That's in 2024. I believe we will have another figure as far as the first quarter of 2025 is concerned. Now, state expenditure in 2023 was 6.74 trillion naira. In 2024, it has risen to 12.18 trillion naira. And total government revenue in 2023 was 20.7 trillion naira. In 2024, it has risen to 37.1 trillion naira. And federal government, state, local government fiscal deficit to GDP ratio, 2023, it was 5.4%. In 2024, it was 3%. And if you want the detail, pick up a copy of the paper. Moving on, 2027. Amid pushback, Zoni complaints, others, PDP explores reconciliation. Okay, whatever works for them. And federal government, by the way, the meeting that was held on, what is Sunday night now, the residence of the Bauchi State governor, by some governors and maybe former governors, we learned, yes, Wike was there as well again, he's still a member of the party. He hasn't left, quite interesting one. All right, and federal government to overhaul underperforming discos amid lingering IBEDC takeover. Federal government to overhaul underperforming discos amid lingering IBEDC takeover. Whatever will work for Nigerians, please do. And Lagos LP suspense chair dissolves award executives as Abure faction tackles OT. Big trouble in Little China, you might want to say. And NNPCL to resume oil drilling in North as production threatens 2025 budget. Interesting one there. A couple of prospects have been identified in the North. But the issue with many persons, especially industry experts, is the fact that the NNPCL should not be the one, funding this exploration. To say there are ways these things are done. Call for investors, prospective investors. They should be the one to fund. And when there is a breakthrough, then you have an agreement on how to go about it. A 5-year moratorium or 10-year moratorium, why to do their business. And, it's part of business. So it's a win-win situation. If they get a breakthrough, fine. If they don't get it, fine. But if they do get, because they will have made scientific findings before they can go ahead with the commercial and industrial exploration of this thing. But why will a private company, of course, the way the NNPCL has been positioned right now, be the one doling out money for this exploration? So when you have the exploration, what happens? And then the private guys will now come in to say, want to be a part of it. That's not the way it works. Call for investors. They should be the one to fund the exploration. And then you have an agreement with them.
Yeah,
Nigerians should not be the one funding this
NNPCL, they've never been doing business well. I mean, for decades, they've never been making profits. I mean, for decades, just running it anyhow, not making profits.
And that's why they were made a private company, so to say, and put it limited at their back. So that it will not just be a government thing. I'm not sure there is anything that is worth celebrating, so to say, since they have started. But now, WAEC candidates anxious as IPOB declares seat at home on May 30 in Southeast. So what will be the fate of the young people now? Who do they believe? We have seen many times that government, state governors will tell, those states that are affected to say, don't bother, go about your business. And at the end of the day, you will see pockets of violence meted on those who disobey the orders given by the non-state actors. And then people would rather say, I'd rather be alive.
Yeah. It's not enough for you to tell people to ignore such warnings, but assure them of their safety. Are you going to protect them? Not just telling them, disregard those statements. You need to assure people that they will be safe if they go out.
Sometimes the state capital, the cities are safe. I mean, the towns are, guarded. But what about the hinterland? The inner communities in which, if they... many things are happening. And suspension, court hears contempt, other applications in Natasha's suit today. And US-China agreed to roll back tariffs for 90 days. All right, the big guys are having a go at themselves. And Edo governor seeks arrest of new Black Movement president, Ese Kako, and freight forwarders right to Nubu as cartels sell e-color code for 400,000 naira. Cartel, who are they? Possibly you might want to check the Guardian. That is all from the Guardian newspaper.
And from the Guardian newspaper, we move to the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. FEC okays plans to reduce cost of medicines, create jobs. FEC okays plans to reduce cost of medicines, create jobs, with a rider. Medical to drive down costs, improve access to high quality pharmaceutical products. Then inside we have policy on job creation revives, creative industry to facilitate 2 million jobs by 2027. Federal workers get group life assurance policy, 2.3 billion naira procurement of cardiac catheterization machine. Now, talking about improvements in the healthcare sector, I just hope this is not just propaganda. Let us see the implementation of all this. If you say you're going to create 2 million jobs, how exactly do you intend to do that? Not just, churning out news just to get the people excited.
Which sector will produce what?
Absolutely.
Within what time frame? That's the way. We've seen this. That's why Nigerians have these trust deficits, because, sometimes they won't tell you we have provided 1 million jobs, and then you ask them how, in which sector, and then at that point you become an opposition member.
Even as I was reading it out, something was just screaming in my head: propaganda, propaganda. I'm just a Nigerian, and they
should dispel that with proof. The only way you can tell the people that we are working is to show them. It should be verifiable. In research, a research should be valid, it should be thorough, but very importantly, it should be verifiable.
Absolutely.
That's just the thing.
Absolutely. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Economy recorded fastest growth in 2024, says World Bank. Economy recorded fastest growth in 2024, says World Bank. You find our story on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Wike, Fubara came to me with 2 APC governors. You find a story on page 4. Fubara came to me with 2 APC governors. Away from that, JAMB opens probe into UTME glitches. JAMB opens probe into UTME glitches. You find a story on page 7 of the Nation newspaper. Security under Tinubu. Key gains, emerging challenges. You find that on pages 2, 3, and 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Away from that, PDP governors rally to hold party together with riders. Effort fruitless. Party is dead, says Ganduje. Wike to challenge dropping of Ayaun as secretary. It's talking about the opposition, the major opposition party in Nigeria, PDP, trying to rally around to save what is left of their party. Away from that, UK ends social care recruitment. UK, they've been trying to, tighten, immigration policies and saying, no, we can't just be taking in everyone. Before now, we have organizations that sponsor, candidates they recruit from different parts of the world, and they sponsor your visa and all that. But now they are putting an end to, social care recruitment from other countries.
Almost every country now are trying to tighten their belt and to say whatever it's ours to remain ours.
Absolutely.
As well. But then, even in the UK, many observers have been saying there are some sections of their economy that will suffer, especially in care, in hospitality, in medicine, because these are where they get people, who, for the want of a better word, who provide that cheap labor.
Absolutely.
Because some of these jobs are the ones that most of their people don't want to do.
Yeah. So we have a lot of Nigerians and other people going there. But again, if things were all right in Nigeria, people wouldn't be flocking to the UK. I mean, there is nothing special about most of these countries. I mean, sometimes you go there, the weather is gloomy all the time. I mean, in a city like Manchester, it rains for like 10 months in a year. I mean, so you can't really compare it to, a land of sunshine like Africa. No, that's the truth.
Looking at you to say, do you mean there's nothing special?
There is nothing special about them. If things were okay in Nigeria, they won't be going there.
I want to agree with you.
No, the system, they have a better system.
I don't know why somebody, even not because of hustle, really, and for the want of a better life, will want to go and live in a -0 Celsius. That's practically living in a refrigerator. That's the one. That's the way it works.
Gloomy weather.
But then what can the people do? You wake up in the morning and people have to carry a wooden axe to be breaking ice off their cars. But here, in fact, you come out with your beer chest and you are saying, you go on
absolutely.
Today.
Land of sunshine.
It's just the way, it's just what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, away from that, Edo government petitions IG, DSS, DG over alleged cult leader. Edo government petitions IG, DSS, DG over alleged cult leader. So many cult activities going on recently. A cult leader was killed by his subordinate over leadership torso. So I think they're stepping up to that in Edo State. Right there, at the middle of the page, I mean, close to the bottom of the page, rather, you see the picture of the former president of Nigeria. We see President Goodluck Jonathan, Bayelsa State Governor, Senator Doyediri, and President Ijo National Congress, INC. That's Professor Benjamin Okaba, with a casket bearing the remains of Ijo National leader, Pa Edwin Clark. At the Bayelsa International Airport, Yenagua, yesterday, talking about late Pa Edwin Clark, right? The great statesman of the Ijo Nation extraction. And I think that'll be all from the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, from the Nation, we move to the Daily Trust, trusting in what they have for us today. What bank queries NNPCL's remittance of subsidy proceeds? That is what we're written on the front page of the Daily Trust. What bank queries NNPCL's remittance of subsidy proceeds? All right, below that, you have the picture of some intending pilgrims, across some states departing for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the 2025 Hajj. And you see them in their uniform there. Wish them all the best as they practice their faith. All right. And Boko Haram launches attack on another military base in Borno. And bandits abduct 5 persons from Plateau Market. Abduction from the market. And we will continue oil search in North. Ojulari, that's the NNPCL boss now. Not many persons we expect Mr. Ojulari to do completely differently, better than his predecessor right now. The Nigerian patrimony and resources should not just be used for a goose chase. There are ways, just like I said, there are ways these things are done.
Absolutely.
You're using Nigerian money now, the ones that we are saying we don't have enough to go on an exploration, which is okay. How, if you can have better alternative of people or companies who are willing to fund this exploration, and then you have an agreement on how to go about the business, is it not better than taking our billions for exploration, which might be and which might not be?
Absolutely. Even Mele Kyari is under probe right now. The EFCC is investigating him because under Mele Kyari, the NNPC was a complete mess, a total mess. That was what happened.
Well, I think probing should be normal. I think it should be normalized so that everybody in office will know that one day you will leave that office, either statutorily or by death, whichever way. If you die there, you go and answer to your God. If you live while alive, you answer to the government. And if you are fine and clean, go about your life. Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your life. That's the way it should be. So we don't see probe as, witch hunting, and then because the government of the day has bad intention. If your answer are clean,
absolutely, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and the institutions will not allow themselves to be used to disturb somebody's life, because we have seen so many situations like that or heard. Now, man sentenced to death for killing friend. Guess what? Over
cap.
I don't know.
What kind of cap is that?
Well, cap of power or cap of life. Man sentenced to death for killing friend over cap. Now, 2 deaths are meant to be established. One has happened, another one is bound to happen because of this, because according to the Daily Trust, a cap.
Well, perhaps they sentence him to death so they can settle their dispute in the afterlife. I mean,
it's a sad one, and it speaks to management of anger. Sometimes, there are sometimes that you feel cheated, and according to what we've seen, we've read, we've had, sometimes in movies, sometimes in real life, those who end up killing some persons, some of them don't mean it. That's why we see if it has happened, some of them will stay there, sit down there, and call the police, because they can't fathom just some abnormal rush of blood to the head, adrenaline that overpumped, and then you have a go at that person and possibly, I will do this, and you expect the person to run, and the person didn't run, and you hand possibly strike to that person to the head, or the person falls. No Nigerian police will look at it with you and say, you didn't intend to do it.
Absolutely.
It has been.
But sometimes I really beg to disagree, because even when you are angry, I mean, there are places you should know, there are places you hit someone that could lead to death.
I'm saying it, but that is only when you are in charge of yourself. That's why we talk about money. I don't know what has happened here, but you might want to predict to say maybe it's some management, because a cap is not enough to kill anybody.
Nothing is enough.
Cap. What is the cap? What is it, a golden cap? To say what it is. But sometimes, have you seen people when they are angry before, and then some of them pick up something to throw at that person? Sometimes you just want to scare, and you don't know, something has been predicted. I don't know. I don't want to be too superstitious right now. And the thing possibly is a piece of wood or a bottle. Hits the person in the head, and the person goes down. And then you are saying, me or momo. If it's in Yoruba, I don't know how if it will happen. Manage your anger.
Quite unfortunate.
That's it. That is it. And in the face of the law, I'm not sure if that would be tenable in court to say, oh, I didn't mean to. Well, let's be careful. Now, Flying Eagles dethroned Senegal. I was happy yesterday, actually, when the boys grounded at our result. 1-0 it ended. Flying Eagles won, Senegal won. So we are through to the semi-finals right now and automatically qualify for the Under-20 World Cup. I think that's a good one. Yesterday, the ongoing African Under-20 Cup of Nations. Now, Damagum's tenure, National Secretary position threatening PDP neck and convention. I'm sure Nigerians are moved on with PDP and their National Secretary problem. Expect electoral reforms before 2027. And next year, that will be all from the Daily Trust.
I'm from the Daily Trust, we move straight to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. World Bank, Nigeria's economy needs to generate better jobs, reduce poverty. World Bank, Nigeria's economy needs to generate better jobs, reduce poverty. How do they mean better jobs? That's one question. You might want to read up the rest of that story on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. With riders, comments Nigeria's growth trajectory, says economy recorded fastest growth in about a decade in 2024. I'm kind of surprised here. Why this sudden turnaround? This same World Bank that released a report recently at the spring meetings in Washington, D.C. with the IMF. Now, why this sudden turnaround? Why are they saying, oh, okay, Nigeria's economy actually grew? What actually happened? You might want to find out. Just read up that story. We have another rider right there. Wants pace of growth to accelerate further. Projects inflation to fall to average of 22.1% in 2025. You find all that on page 6. Again, some Nigerians would be surprised. Why this sudden turnaround? Why are they suddenly becoming optimistic about Nigeria? Sometimes we know how these things work. Away from that, moving to the top strip of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Unijust professor Piwona succeeds Oshodeke as ASU president. You'll find that on page 4. UK ends overseas social care visas in major immigration shakeup. UK ends overseas social care visas in major immigration shakeup. You find a story on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Away from that, tax reform bills. Reps set up conference committee to harmonize with Senate. Tax reform bill. Reps set up conference committee to harmonize with Senate. You'll find that on page 5. Away from that, JAMB engages IT experts to review 2025 UTME. JAMB engages IT experts to review 2025 UTME. Now, after the results were released, there's been complaints in different areas. Some students actually complained that they had, unnecessarily low scores that doesn't tally with previous performance, that so many of them scored less than 200 and they just couldn't explain it, that they should check. There might have been some glitches. And thankfully, JAMB is trying to engage experts to review the results. I just hope that something comes out of that, because it will be quite unfortunate for someone who knows the ability to write an exam and get a score that is below their expectation, judging by their performances. Let's see what comes out from that. Away from that, Wabara declares PDP revival as BOT inaugurates new members. Wabara declares PDP revival as BOT inaugurates new members. You find a story on page 20. Federal government raises 1.093 trillion naira via Sukuk to fund infrastructure development. Federal government raises 1.093 trillion naira via Sukuk to fund infrastructure development. That's according to the DMO, that should be the Debt Management Office. You find a story on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Wike wants PDP over 2027 presidential ticket, says Fubara visited him with 2 APC governors. Away from that, FG to overall underperforming discos. Federal government to overall underperforming distribution companies. That's talking about the power sector in Nigeria. And right there in the picture, we'll see the Director General, Lagos State Sports Commission, and together with some officials right there at the Lagos State House outside Ikeja on Monday. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And that brings us to a conclusion of the newspaper review segment of the program this morning. We'll take a short break. When we return, the program continues. Stay with us.